Hey guys, yeah, I'm 2 minutes late. I'm sorry for that. Yeah, I'm excited for this talk with the Zignal. I like this guy. I've been following him for ages, and I can't wait. I can't wait to talk to Dan. He's a huge part of the UAP Media UK. Oh, looks like we have company. There he is. Hello, Mr. Zignal.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Bear with me. My audio is going to the wrong thing.
I can hear you. Sweating. There is my man, Vinny. Hello, sir. Oh, I forgot to do something. Dan, are you okay? Can you hear me?
Give me a second. Do you mind if I just jump out and just sort my audio out a second?
Yeah, just leave me and hurt my feelings. That's fine.
Give me 1 second.
All right. There we go. Story of my life. Everybody leaves me. But he should be right back. He should be right back. So how are you guys doing? And thank you for being here, by the way. You are troopers, and I love you guys. I love all of you, the Dutch, the British, the Americans, the Canadians. You are all warriors. The reason this interview, well, first of all, it's way overdue. Me and Dan, I've been chatting with him on Twitter. I've been inviting him, and for some reason, it still didn't happen. But last week, I had my second interview with Professor Avi Loop, and that was a very fun interview. Looks like Dan is back.
Okay, I can hear you through my headphones now. Before I had you out of my speakers, it was strange. The cables were in the wrong wrong slots. It's fine. Technical hitches.
Too much technology in your place, dude.
Yeah, I guess so. I set up a new light so you guys could see me as well, because I've always been really dark. So I've got another light over here, so I should be able to. You guys can see me now.
I can see you. I see your glasses, your purple headphones, the guitar in the background. No, that's fine. Hey, Dan, way overdue, but thank you for accepting my my invitation to.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah,
I always watch your channel, and yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. And like you say, way overdue.
Way overdue. Now, Dan, we know you as a artist. You make crazy, amazing UAP art. You put it on anything and everything, t-shirts, mugs, etc., but also badges. I've been checking your shit out today, sir. So
thank you, man.
But maybe tell a little bit about yourself, because I don't think people know too much about the person Dan Zetterstrom. Where are you from, and what got you into this topic, sir?
Sure. So I guess you could say I was born at a young age in Cardiff, South Wales, where Doctor Who is filmed. So, it's kind of in my blood. And then I grew up in South Wales. If anyone watches Gavin and Stacey, that seems to be the biggest program export from this part of the UK. So if you know James Corden, I don't know if you've seen him around. That's where he got his start, is on Gavin and Stacey, and that was filmed just, basically where I got drunk as a teenager with my friends. So it's very strange. But yeah, one night I was kind of flicking through channels, as you do when we used to have those old TVs that only had 4 channels, and I stumbled upon it was the opening episode of season 2 of the X-Files, Little Green Men.
That's a big
where Mulder goes to the observatory, and yeah, it was kind of scary, man, but it hooked me immediately. And from that day on, I was weird and had kind of strange things happen around me. When I was in primary school, when they give out awards at the end of school,
yes,
and you kind of get the most popular and the most likely to be rich. I got voted the ET of the school. So I have this little certificate from when I was really young, because I was obsessed. So yeah, that was my start, and I've been reading ever since. And while doing that, I kind of went from. I started in photography, and then I went into filmmaking. And a few things that you might know that I did. I worked, basically I went to university in a place called Royal Holloway, where if you look it up, it looks like Hogwarts, man. It was such a cool place to go to university.
Royal Holloway.
Royal Holloway, yeah. And it's just outside of London. So you kind of had everything that was in London without the constant busyness, because it's a lot for someone who isn't from a big city.
Right.
So yeah, I did my degree there. It was media arts. Met amazing people and ended up working in Pinewood, which wasn't too far away. I worked on Gulliver's Travels, and a little bit of the last Harry Potter movie as well.
No shit.
Yeah, I have photographs of like me and my friend just ran around like nerds, kind of, because we took photographs next to the graves at Godric's Hollow. Because that was the few days we were there for while they were shooting. So that was really, really cool.
That is really cool.
And it's an incredible place, because you walk around and there are just cabinets full of Oscars, and then you go around another corner and you just bump into someone that's doing the effects for, kind of a pre-production on a maybe Star Wars movie. And you just, if you're a film nerd, like it's just incredible industry to be in, but it's very tiring. So at a certain point, my hair fell out, and I to this day I have this patch on the back of my head. It's alopecia, and it did it on both sides of my head, and it was the kind of thing that I thought it was a prank my friends had done, and I kept saying to them, like, just tell, like, I'm not even going to be mad, like, I'm just worried if this has happened without me knowing, like, if you've shaved my head while I was asleep, cool, fine, it's funny, just tell me. But it turned out they hadn't, and basically it was kind of an amalgamation of things. Like, I was finishing up university, having to find work, finding that freelance work was, it's difficult starting out. It really is.
Yeah, look, man, I'm a filmmaker myself. I know how hard it is.
Man, it's tough. And I had a long-term relationship end, and I moved back to Wales, and it was just a lot of stress, and my hair fell out. So it was about that time where I went to see, I don't know if you know someone called Darren Brown. He's like an illusionist.
Yeah, rings a bell.
He's one of these guys who kind of says, I'm going to show you a magic trick, but it's just a magic trick, but I'm going to make you think I'm reading your mind, kind of thing. And he uses, subtle body signals and things like that. He has some incredible shows, but he does live shows where he tours in the theater. If you ever get a chance to see one, I highly recommend it. He's an excellent showman. And after seeing him, he posted to Twitter just this, it was just a link to a survey. And I responded, and some of the questions were really weird. Like, they were about weird things in your life, or if you had recurring dreams and things like that. So I responded, because for the longest time I've had a few recurring dreams.
Oh, I have.
Do you get it, where like it's almost like there's a feeling with them, like a really tangible feeling?
Yeah,
it's not, it doesn't feel like I can make pictures up in my head all day long. It feels very different to that. And it was this deep-seated thing, and there were two dreams. So one of them was I would be rock climbing, and as I was kind of coming up over an underhang like this, I would swing my arm around, and I would feel, even when I'm telling you now, I can kind of feel it, my fingers slipping on the dust, and just my hand leaving the rock. And as soon as my stomach goes, that was always where I woke up. And then the other one was sharks. So I had a really weird thing with sharks, where I would kind of dream that I was trying to overcome my fear. And in this dream, I went to South Africa, and I was like, I'm gonna cage drive. I'm gonna face these things. They're just, creatures. It's
in a cage.
It's irrational. So that was the idea. And so in this dream, I go in the cage, and partway through the experience, the cage just breaks off the ship, and it starts sinking with me in it. And I always left it too long to kind of make the decision of whether to swim past the sharks and try and get back to the boat, or whether to kind of just sink with the cage. And so I put that all into this survey, and I ended up getting invited to take part in a television show. So you can watch this television show, Darren Brown, Fear and Faith Part 1, it's called. Oh. And the whole thing was, I've got some pills in front of me, but they're a little bit useless, and I'll tell you why. The whole thing was, have you seen Limitless? The
Sorry.
movie. Have you seen the movie Limitless, where they take the pill and the brain function
Oh, yeah, yeah,
increases?
yeah.
Yeah,
Always wish that movie was real.
it'd be very cool, right?
Yeah.
Well, the whole idea of this, so we were taken to a place. If you've seen World War Z with Brad Pitt, the last third of that movie, the building they're in,
Yeah.
I was in that building. That's where we filmed this thing. And we were taken in, and it was all set up to look like, it was really an abandoned place, we were shown later, but it was set up to look like a full working office environment. And they were supposedly military contractors coming up with pills that would enhance your cognitive function, like Limitless.
Right.
And so for my group, we were told there were other groups, but for my group specifically, we were given it for fears, to control our fears. And we were told the more of this we took, we would get a grip, and it wouldn't be like fight or flight anymore. It would be, while everyone else is deciding that.
This sounds like a great movie format, actually.
Yeah, absolutely, right? So yeah, we took them over time, and we kind of had to send in like video diaries and stuff like that, and they all make up the TV show. And then it was revealed to us after we were all like, yeah, we're past our fears. This drug is amazing. I really got into kind of mindfulness as I went through it, because he was big on kind of, centering yourself and trying to control the things you can control,
Right.
If I'm in an aquarium and there's a shark on the other side of the glass, I really have no need to be anxious about it, right? Be realistic. So we get to the end, and it's revealed that this pill the whole time was a sugar pill, and the name of the pill, bromidin, is an anagram of your mind. And some of the other groups were doing it for other reasons. So there was a group, a guy had dermatitis on his hand, real bad, like real dry skin, and he couldn't wear his wedding ring as a result.
Yeah.
And through this pill, he cleared it up.
Wow.
It was just gone within like 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah, absolutely, man. There were people who quit smoking because of it. But it was really funny, actually, because they were the only group who, as soon as the filming was over, they were like, oh my God, I need a cigarette. But yeah, there was a group who were told that they would get smarter with it. And they were the ones who almost instantly picked up on the anagram in the first week of filming. And they figured it out. So it was really strange. It was a really strange experience to go through. And that, for me, kind of really opened the door in terms of the power of your mind. Having gone through it, if you watch the show, you'll probably come away going, oh, there was stooges and blah, 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 blah. But we were open to it. We thought the guy was involved from the get-go, and we were like, what's the worst that can happen? It's a cool thing to be involved in anyway. And yeah, that really unlocked the door for me in terms of the power of your mind. And it's quite funny because he would laugh and mock us for having a conversation about things like remote viewing, because he thinks it was done for the countries to influence each other rather than, because they could actually do these.
Oh, you still there, man? Dan, guys, am I freezing or is Dan freezing? Because I see Dan. Wow. Am I freezing? It's Dan. Thank you, Priscilla. Dan, maybe log out and come back in. What usually helps, Dan, is turn off all other devices you have on Wi-Fi. That makes your connection much better. If you are there. Well, I'm not sure. Let me text him. Oh, he's gone. Let me see if he's going to get back in. All right. What is going on? Well, I see Priscilla is in the feed, and she had a great show last night with Artemis Prime, and I am so happy a couple of ladies are now trying to build up their own UAP show on YouTube, and I really enjoyed it. Um, Josh came in, uh, British Josh, UAP UK. They tortured him for a while, which was really funny. But it was all good love, good spirits, and I really recommend this to you guys to check her show out, and Artemis Prime show. So I'm still waiting on Dan. Let me see if he's okay. Maybe. What the hell? Yeah, Priscilla. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, that's cool. You're going on with Alien Girl on Sunday. I should speak to her too. I haven't spoken to her. I should talk to more women. It's a bit of a dude thing. We should have more women. Dan, where are you? Maybe you had like an electrical fallout or something. Well, still waiting on Dan. He had a little bit of technical problems. Well, guys, maybe if you... there he is.
I am so sorry.
What
I
happened?
do not know why. My routers all reset. I've literally been sat here like waiting for them to boot back up again so I can connect to the 21st century. Everything's so fickle these days. I'm so sorry, man. I was this close to like finding a good signal spot and just hotspotting my phone.
Yeah. Look, what always works is if you're on Wi-Fi, turn off any other device that's on Wi-Fi, or turn off the Wi-Fi on that device. It makes your Wi-Fi so much stronger.
Yeah, I should really do that. It's a bit of an old network, so yeah. Sorry, man.
No worries.
I forgot where we were, but
no, you were talking about this experiment you were on.
Oh yeah, that's right. So yeah, that really opened the door for me in terms of mindfulness and my approach to it. And then I kind of dived in. This was around the London Olympics were happening, so 2012. So I just dived in headfirst to all of this stuff, and I kind of went through, some interesting kind of teachings at a surface level, skipping over Buddhism as people do, kind of, tearing off the broader concepts and not really understanding much of it. But it kind of led me to ancient civilizations. And then through that, I kind of came back around to UFOs and the phenomena. And I find no matter what direction you go off in, it always comes back to these kind of, flying things in the sky and experiences that people have that they interpret that way anyway. It's super, super interesting. And then I guess, like 2016, 2017, maybe sooner. My love of Tom DeLonge and all things that he has a hand in creating. I basically learned guitar from the guy, like through listening to Enema of the State, I think was the album.
Oh, really? Like,
yeah.
You listened to Tom DeLonge and you were autodidactic and learned guitar.
I mean, I'm self-taught at guitar, and that was the music that did it. So I guess so. I've just never thought of it that way. You just took me by surprise there.
Sorry.
No, that's cool. It's I love it when people bring angles that you've never really thought of. Makes the world go round. But yeah, because I kind of loved all his stuff, and obviously knew that he was into UFOs, and so was I. It was kind of, I'd pick up on the stuff he was reading and the comments he was making and things like that. And then it just crashed into the UFO subject in a big way when he did TTSA. And I was just like, wow, these two, I guess, biggest loves of my life have just become one thing.
Awesome.
So I really threw my hat in the ring then. And, I was around on another Twitter account for a while, Dan Actual, which I kind of left behind. And then I made the Zignal one to kind of really focus and, put my time into.
Yeah. Look at this. Ben Shapiro, he says he had the same.
Oh, wow. Amazing. That's really cool, Ben.
That's cool. All right. Um,
There were
and
some odd little synchronicities as well through the Blink years, I'll call them. So the last time Blink toured the UK, I followed them basically, not in a creepy way. I paid my way, you know. I
yeah,
bought
yeah,
tickets and stuff. And I had probably the most expensive and the best week of my life. I went. The first show was in Manchester, and I had a friend I hadn't seen for many years up there, so I kind of went up, and you know, we made a big thing of it, and went to this big ass rock show. Ended up meeting Mark at that one, but very, very briefly. The bassist of Blink, that is.
yeah.
Then I went to a London show with another friend, again, who I hadn't seen for ages because everyone was kind of in university at this point. And at that show, we didn't meet anyone. We just had a crazy time with strangers. And then at the end of the night, we caught the wrong train. And we ended up in a place called Milton Keynes, and we wanted to get to Bedford. In a car, it was about 3 hours, but we did it by foot because we didn't have a car.
Oh
and it was like midnight when we figured out that we'd totally gone the wrong way and there were no more trains going back into London, and we were just stuck. So we walked, and something happened that didn't become relevant till years and years later. And I've spoken to Ryan Bledsoe about this because when he said, he basically posted about a property in the UK, Bledsoe Castle,
right.
that he has a bit of a connection to. And I found it really strange because on this walk, when it was all motorways and just dark lanes, it was crazy dangerous. We probably shouldn't have done it, but we did. And I remember the first lit sign that we saw after coming down this dark road for 7-8 hours was the Castle Bledsoe sign.
Right.
So whilst following Tom around the country, I bumped into the Bledsoes basically years before I kind of knew them, which I thought was a really cool little connection. And then they played Cardiff, so I kind of went back there, and that's where I kind of got to meet everyone except Tom, and I've still never met Tom. One day, man. One day.
One day. All right. So yeah, that's you really connect things in your life, right? You know, everything has a certain meaning, and it is pushing you in a certain direction. Myself, I feel that way too about things happening in my personal life. I feel, you know, some things are maybe a little message, or some things are maybe a little push, or some things are just you know, damn magical.
Yeah, and that's really the right word, because from the right perspective, the simplest thing can be super magical, right? Like seeing the right number at the right time can change somebody's life.
Right.
So it's no wonder we hold such value in these kind of patterns, you know. And for me, over the past year, following that and kind of saying, okay, because it's been, you know, everyone's had a crazy 1.5, 2 years now. It's been insane. And I just, like everyone else, I was locked inside with nothing to do, and everything was just depressing me. And, you know, it just felt like, as my old teacher used to say, peeing into the wind. And so I decided I'm just gonna follow what makes me feel good and what seems to resonate with others. That's what I'm gonna do. And I figured, you know what, the worst that comes out of it is kindness. Like that's fine. You know, we can show a little empathy and kind of get there. But what came out of it for me was all of the art that you've seen. And it's been really interesting because there have been pieces that I've made that I just haven't connected with. They just haven't felt right in my gut.
Right.
But then there are other ones that I've made where the synchronicities through the projects have just piled up and up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that whenever I put them out, people just, you know, people lap them up. I don't know what it is, but there's a quality to creating something that people resonate with and they can feel it, you know.
Anything you create releases some sort of an energy you put out, right?
Yeah.
If I write, if I edit, if I film, if you create your art, there is an energy you put out into the universe, and it will have a boomerang effect. It will come back to you in some way. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not in a year, maybe in 10 years. You never know. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all about the balance. But creating, I think is key here. You know, if you put out that energy, it will always come back in a positive way back to you.
I think so too, and it's really interesting on kind of that area that I don't. Did you see? That's a silly question. Of course, you saw Thompson, Jim Semivan speak to Brian Keaton and Kurt Jarmungel. He was talking about the arts in, you know, arts and science being consciousness, because art is an idea. And I thought that was really interesting because there's a lot of connections with consciousness with CTSA. And I was like, oh, damn, it was right there in the title that whole time. That's kind of cool.
That is cool. That is cool. Now, Dan, you know, this question, you know, this one is coming, right? Have you ever seen a UAP?
Too many.
Too many.
Yeah, man.
Wow,
you can go on my Twitter and you can read a thread of when, like, there was a point where I was kind of, back when, like I said, I was kind of skipping over the surface levels. You know, I was finding things like Stephen Greer and, you know, human initiated contact, CE5, some people call it.
Yeah.
And I was game, you know, like why not? I want to see some of that stuff. So I started doing it and I started seeing stuff, and the more I did it, the more I would see, and it was just the strangest stuff. And just as an example,
yeah, give me
you could kind of play with these lights in the sky. So the light would come up, and you've probably seen the video of the light in the sky kind of strobing, right?
Right.
So sometimes those can be something called an iridium flare. It's kind of a certain type of satellite that when it turns, it kind of hits the sun, and it just gives off a bright flare. So a tumbling object can do that. So what I would do is I would kind of, and it's going to sound crazy because all this stuff does when you kind of get into it, right?
Let's go. We are all open-minded here.
So I would talk out loud. Kind of how you hear Chris Bledsoe doing it, not to say it's anything like that. In videos, just kind of saying, thank you for the experience. Hi, how are you tonight? You know, I'm here. Flash for me. Do it in 3, 2, 1, go. And kind of stuff like that. And you'd leave different amounts of time between the kind of, I guess, the requests, just to make sure it wasn't, you know, some things that people wish on satellites all the time, thinking they're meteors, and you know, you shouldn't, but it happens. I'm sure I've done it too. But that kind of interaction for me is a little bit of a filter to kind of go, okay, is what I'm seeing just a satellite in a way that I've never seen it before, or something that I don't know is up there?
And then is there a certain place or a certain spot you go to do that?
Well, I mean, it's usually the back garden, but
yeah.
I've had it happen everywhere. And when I say everywhere, I kind of mean South Wales, so like in Bracken. And I experienced it with my partner at the time as well. We'd see the lights come up and do a 90-degree turn in the air, and
right,
you know, it would take your breath away. You don't know what to do with it, because it's a light in the sky and you're not likely to get an answer with it. So it's just something that sits in your mind spinning, going, holy crap.
Well, it's
holy crap.
It's great you had your partner with you, because then you don't experience that alone. Because because your mind can fuck with you, right? It's like, did I really see that? But now there's someone we did see that, right? So that's great.
Absolutely. And since then it's been, you know, some of the roads I've gone down. Have you ever looked at EVOs, or ball lightning? I guess it's called. Some people call it.
Yeah, I've tried to look it up. Yeah.
So it's really intriguing, man. It's changed my attitude from when someone says it's just ball lightning to wanting to shake them and say, do you understand what you're saying that is? Because the amount of energy in those things would, if we could control them, they would change the world as a power source. You could have a phone that, you know, would last you for 5 years until you bought another one, and you wouldn't have to charge it ever again. Things like that.
Like, you know? Concentrated power like that would be it. Yeah.
And there's a really cool YouTube channel. It's run by a guy called Bob Greenier, It's called the Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project, and he basically analyzes materials and so on and so forth. But what Bob has done is he's gone back through the literature from many different countries over the years, and regardless of what they called the thing, he's kind of dug through to find the ball lightning, or the EVO, or some people call it Lena as well, all essentially a different name for the same process.
Right.
And when you kind of start understanding what that process is, it's goddamn mind-blowing. It seems to be that I'm going to do a bad job of explaining this now, because I am not a scientist. But basically, there's a ball of matter that is being compressed from the forces pushing inwards and pushing outwards at the same time. The outward force is winds, because there's more fuel in the air for it to eat, whereas the stuff inside only has what's inside. And as that compression happens, it kind of forms what's called coherent matter. And when that comes out, we start talking about things like, is that life? Is that conscious? So ball lightning, in a way, when people go, oh, it's just ball lightning, I mean, yeah, great, but you're saying that that's a potential ball of light that is zipping around with consciousness. Like, I hope people know what they're saying when they say that.
No. Look, go on.
I'd really recommend it. It's based off a lot of work done on the Hastellan lights. I would recommend everyone just dive into that rabbit hole. There are lots of papers on, I think it's Academia or something like that. It's a lot of papers that are up there. And you can just dig through them and read their research. And they found sometimes that these kind of little compressions of plasma were viewable in infrared before they were viewable in our visual spectrum. So we couldn't see them. It was more like we were energizing something that was already there. So that kind of has implications, right? That maybe ball lightning is something that's there all the time, but we just don't see it or interact with it until it reaches certain energy levels. And they also recorded, they called it a helix-like structure made with atmospheric dust, which essentially is, they're talking about the beginnings of a DNA.
Yeah,
and
that's a beautiful structure.
Yeah. But this is happening seemingly spontaneously in the air in certain places on the planet. And you got to wonder, you know, Thomas said sometimes that these things come into being for a second and sometimes last for days. And that description fits this phenomena. Really, really intriguing stuff, man.
Definitely. And it does remind me of, you know, anything and everything I've been talking about, or we on UFO Twitter. When you look at the phenomenon, the way it appears, it's usually an orb or something throbbing, a white thing. It moves, or a tic tac. It moves intelligently. It moves with it. It seems almost moving with consciousness, right? I always compare it when I see either really good footage or whatever I've seen myself. It looks like when you have the flying dream, right, where you can move at will, as fast as you want, where you want, disappear, appear, with your consciousness in your dream, in your mind. Now, to me, I feel it has a lot of similarities with the phenomenon, with, you know, the way the flying dream works. But when you talk about these bolts, it just seems UAP to me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for all intents and purposes, that's what it is. Like I said earlier, it's the same in so many other places as well. People will get into arguments over the same thing because they have two different names for it, and it's insane. Like, no one's fighting wars because we have pavements in the UK and sidewalks in America. Yet, if you say I believe in angels and then you say I believe in jinn, suddenly you're at loggerheads with each other. It's crazy to me, you know. I've said it before, and I think religion is what happens when people stop asking questions. They
It
just
totally
accept
is.
the answer and they're like, cool, that's that. Got it.
Yeah,
Life is
but
easy now. I figured
yeah,
that out.
yeah, but look, religion was part of our evolution, right? There were moments when we were basically no, just not apes anymore, and we were beating the shit out of each other with, you know, pieces of wood, and then we invented some metal. But I think religion was something we really needed, like a law book to keep us in check, right?
Yeah, it kind of started organizing our thoughts, right? Like
Right. Yeah,
I guess when I say religion is what happens when I guess I mean religion with the big R. Religion with the small R, I've always enjoyed, you know, the community aspect of religion. Cool,
for
great, let's
sure,
keep
for
that.
sure.
But, you know,
Yeah,
in terms of keep that door locked and keep this
like
text away
Christmas.
from the people, bleh, get rid of that one.
We'll keep Christmas.
Yeah, we'll keep Christmas. Everyone gets free presents, so everyone
Yeah.
gets gifts, you know.
Right, right. But you know, I think we are right now, as humankind, on a certain crossroad in our evolutionary timeline. And I think what is happening now, and I feel actually very blessed, I get to see this moment in human history, the moment we are being more and more aware we're not alone. There's something bigger than our planet, our religions, our belief systems, our morale, our way of life, our life form, our place in the universe. So, you know, we have to let go of a lot of our old patterns, a lot of our old truths. And this is basically,
Did you hear about just an example of this that I love? Sorry, I
yeah,
totally interjected there. Note your
no,
thought.
no, no, no,
Did
you're
you hear
yeah,
about wolves and alphas?
wolves and
So
alpha.
so the idea of the alpha wolf, right? It's
Right.
something everyone knows it. Everyone goddamn knows that. It was
Yeah,
in the hangover, like we all know it. I'm an alpha. That's what guys say, right?
yeah,
So it turns out we figured out in recent years that the alpha behavior is something that wolves exhibited in captivity and not in their natural habitat. So the alpha wolf does not and did not exist. It was something that we made because we put something in an environment that it didn't naturally live in and studied it. And it's we've since found out the wolves have like really complex family relationships. They'll kind of, you know, like humans, they'll send off kids to kind of live in a different part of the woods and be like, yeah, come back and show me your wife in a few years and your puppies and show me how it's going, you know, and they kind of keep in touch like that.
right.
And when I read it, I was like, God damn, that's like, what else have we missed that's right in front of our faces and we haven't figured it out because, you know, something is non-malicious as we're going to study this animal in a way that we can view it properly.
Right.
So they have to do less work. Essentially, it's laziness, right? But yeah, it's just one of those cool things. There was another one with rats where there was a study going on that had nothing to do with this, but during the study they found out they were putting rats in pairs, so male-female pairs, and they would kind of get used to each other and mate, and then they would swap the kind of the male rats around. I really can't remember the experiment. It just sounds like the keys in a punch bowl kind of thing with rats now. That's not what they were doing. It was proper science, I swear.
Yeah.
And they found that when they brought the male rat back to the original partner, they would fight and they would argue.
Okay.
Again, just like humans, right?
Yeah, that sounds like humans.
But
Yeah.
they couldn't record the results because that's not what the experiment was about, and no one would pay for research to see whether rats get jealous, right?
Right.
But that's a very eye-opening moment because I think we're, like you say, we're at a crossroads and we're starting
Yeah.
to realize that all these really, really, really complex, simple systems exist around us. And we've been unaware of them because we've just thought we're top of the food chain this whole time, when really
Right.
there's this whole ecosystem that balances each other out. That, yeah, I mean, we've kind of ruined it, right?
We are ruining a lot, my friend. Look, I think I'm going to make a segue here
Sure.
because, my friend, we started some shit between Avi Loeb and Elon Musk.
Oh, we did.
And I want to get that footage for a second. But of course,
That's my second time with Avi now. I got him, Andy and I had him on the podcast, and I asked him about Mick West, because Mick accused him of not knowing what triangulation was, basically. And so I asked Avi the question in a way that kind of showed, I know that you're going to say triangulation is something you're very aware of, but I'm going to give you a chance to respond anyway. And he got really passionate and was, essentially yelled, Mick West is not a scientist. We are the scientists.
I saw that.
And then this happened, and I'm just like, God damn, Avi Loeb's going to think that I'm a bit of a handful soon.
Yeah. Well, I really enjoyed that, actually. Hold on, I'm going to try to find it on another Avi Loeb. Yeah, that's the one. Found it.
You got it?
Yeah, did. All right, my friend. Hold on. So, let me add this piece of beautiful footage.
I forget you can do all this fancy stuff. I was so used to just doing Zooms and Skype,
Yeah.
When the pandemic happened and the video conferencing world just exploded.
That's true. Hold on, I'm still fucking up. And
technical hitches, man. It's 2-1, so you're allowed another one. Take your time.
Yeah. I think I did something right this time. So
I'm reading through the comments because again I'm not used to the comments, man. Hello everyone. Thank you for coming.
StreamYard is awesome. I'm still fucking up. Okay.
But 2 for 2 now.
Yeah. No, I got it. And
I'm going to tilt my camera so people can see the 3D text on my wall.
Okay. Well, so I'm going to add this to the stream. Yeah, there we go. UAP or extraterrestrial life. He said that very blatantly on the Joe Rogan podcast. But why would someone like Musk so blatantly disqualify ET life? And and of course answer Dan's question.
Yeah, well, the point is, it doesn't really matter. He has no authority. It's just like, the church during Galileo's time, the church didn't have authority to say what the sun will do, so the sun did whatever it does. And, we can sit inside our home and say we have no neighbors. And whether we look through the window or do not look through the window, and irrespective of what we say, we might have neighbors. So if you sit in your home and you can say a lot of things and not look through the window, that doesn't affect the neighbors. In fact, the neighbors even don't know about it most of the time, So you can say, Musk can say whatever he wants on the Joe Rogan show. It doesn't affect reality necessarily. I mean, reality is whatever it is. Now you ask, okay, instead of listening to Musk, what should I do? You should look through telescopes and check. I don't care what Musk says. He has no authority as to whether aliens exist, as to whether they sent equipment or not. So how would he know? The only way to know is to collect data. He didn't collect this data. He didn't build these telescopes. We are building those telescopes. If he wants to collaborate with us, for him, it will be pocket money. He can find the Galileo project. And I would recommend that, because then he could, if we don't find anything, he could say, look, I told you so. I gave them the money. They didn't find anything. So here I pose a challenge to Elon Musk. Fund us at tens of millions of dollars. It will be pocket money for you. And then you could substantiate your claims at Joe Rogan saying, look, they didn't find anything.
Shots fired. I love it. So
he's a great sport, isn't he?
Oh man. But I didn't know I could, that, you could like push his buttons like that. If I would have known that earlier, I would have, tried more.
Well, like I say, that was my second time doing it, so I clearly am subconsciously like aware, like, oh hey, if you ask him the right question, he goes.
Yeah. Well, it was a great 1 and 2. I couldn't have done it without you, and it
teamwork.
was teamwork, brother. But it kind of went viral. I've posted this clip, you've posted it. And a lot of people started sharing it to Elon, but he hasn't responded.
I want him to respond, man, because I think he's stranger than he lets on. He might not believe aliens are here, but he definitely believes there's something else. Like there was what's the channel? Everyday Astronaut. He did an interview around the SpaceX site with Elon, and it's a really cool interview. I highly recommend people watch it. But during that, he speaks about how, and it's only a small moment, but he kind of talks about how certain numbers just keep coming up for him. And they're numbers like it's the ones that the internet kind of picks up on. So it's 69 or it's 420, and these numbers keep coming up. And he explains that he doesn't plan these numbers. You know, he'll pick, say, a circumference for the rocket, and something will have to change, and then the final number ends up just being 420. So I was like, you're a little bit more clued in than you'd have people believe, you know.
Yeah.
I think, especially because he dated Grimes for a while, right? Like,
right.
You know, pasta and cheese and DMT for dinner, probably with that lot. So
yeah. I get it. But then again, you know, I still find it fascinating that on Rogan that he goes and says, I think it was literally, if those aliens are out there, they are sure shy, right? And by saying that, he means I don't see them, we don't see them, SpaceX doesn't see them.
Therefore, they don't exist. It's Michael Bay syndrome, right? If it's not on the screen, it doesn't count anymore.
Yeah. But what I find, there's such a contradiction in him saying that, and Avi Loeb actually putting you know, his neck out, creating the Galileo project, and he says, I do see things. There is stuff we see in the sky we cannot explain. It might be like this psychological reflex Musk has, that whatever he sees, he explains in some way. It's a human reflex too. If there's something we can't explain, we'll just blame religion. It's an angel, it's a demon. Yeah. It's what we do. Everything has to be explained. And here, I think, is like where science separates. I think there's a part, kind of like Elon, who think everything I've studied is true. It must be the truth. There's nothing you can throw at me I do not know in my field of work. And it's an ego thing, right?
Yeah, you can. I can empathize with it in a way, because in his position with all that money, I'd be like, well, I clearly know what I'm doing here, you know. Like, I must be smarter than everyone else. And you're right, it's an ego thing, but I think probably one that snuck up on him, you know.
Yeah. So what do you think of Avi Loeb's Galileo project? Because you know, he's a nuts and bolts dude. You know, he's just going to create a telescope, and he's going to look in our nearest skies where stuff is being seen. And I've tried to talk to Loeb about consciousness, gravity. He's still a bit disqualifying of all of that. No, he's a scientist. He wants data.
This is why during your interview we brought up consciousness with him, didn't we? And yeah. I find everyone has a way that you can ask the question to, in you know, if you kind of structure it for your audience. And asking, I feel like anyone kind of saying to Avi Loeb, hey, what do you think about consciousness being everywhere and we're all one? He would just roll his eyes and walk away. Whereas he, in mine and Andy's interview with him, we established that he was familiar with the work of Roger Penrose, and we didn't have enough time to go into it. But at that moment, I was just like, oh, nice. Like, Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff were the two guys who wrote the paper on a theory called Ork-OR. And yeah, during your interview, I took my chance, and I was just like, hey, Avi, what do you think of Ork-OR? And he responded to it in a respectful way, because someone had clearly, you know, gone halfway and done a bit of work to be able to ask that question and understand what he had to say.
Well, he was very open-minded, actually, in that interview, because my buddy Andy from New York UAP discussion, he He asked if ET life is already among us on Earth, and he went. He really seriously answered the question, and he wasn't disqualifying it at all. He was really cool about it, and he was actually completely surprised. So he is an open-minded dude. But then again, he keeps into the frame of the scientist. He's not willing to really look for. Sorry, somebody's really distracting me at this moment. No, well, I lost it.
Look, were you going to say like he goes for the science? He doesn't really look at the woo stuff first. He'll let the science lead him.
Yeah. But I think he does actually a little bit. But he's not gonna, admit to that, publicly.
Well, he had that great analogy, didn't he? Saying that essentially by placing telescopes, they're casting out their fishing hooks, and if they catch a strange fish, then they'll talk about that then, and they'll deal with that then. But until then, they have to do the work to get to the point where, it's possible to even encounter said strange fish that we know is out there. But, the US government isn't giving us nice high definition photos of these things. You guys have to rely on my drawings. So,
Yeah. So, Dan, how have you experienced the last 3 years when the New York Times came out? And can you maybe walk me through what went through your mind when that dropped?
Like many people, probably, I told you so. I kind of wanted to go run around the streets and show everybody. But it was a sea change, because like I said, for me, I was following Tom. So that was the moment where someone that, was a teenage idol to me turned into someone who stopped making just poo jokes and started doing really serious work. He suddenly started wearing suits, and it felt like the twilight of adulthood, I guess. And since then, it's just been crazy. I don't feel like there's been a single day where there hasn't been something dug up by someone or said by someone. And especially this year, we hit this, I don't know where it was, like maybe March, April, around there. We kind of just hit the road running, and everything just seemed to line up. Everyone kind of started getting the community together, and then I guess that culminated in the Big Phone Home, where the community actually started, a lot of us that didn't talk outside of Twitter, we all started talking. Even some of the, the controversial people. So that was good. And then after that, we had, oh God, I'm struggling to remember names because there's about 50 of them, but it felt like every single day someone else, Obama,
Clinton.
Yes. And then around my birthday, a bunch more kind of people came out and said things. And then the UAP report. Yeah, Radcliffe. That's the guy who I was thinking of. His name was on the tip of my tongue and I couldn't think of it.
Well, that was a big one. That's the CIA, man. Yeah.
Yeah. That was one that you probably do the same when you get UAP stuff. You'll send it to some friends, and the friends who are kind of more open to discussing that, and the friends who will probably just look at their phone and put the phone back down and not even message back. But that for me was one that got the most messages returned. Even if people ignore it, I will still message them about it. I'm like, I'm getting in there somehow. Like I'm doing this in Inception style over 4 years at the worst. And it's a lot of fun because, well, maybe fun's the wrong word, but you said that you're glad to be here at this time.
Yeah.
Do you feel like sometimes you picked out a brochure before it happened? And
it's
when
almost...
this kind of all these events started happening, there were a lot of people in the community that I looked at and kind of realized, oh my God, like we've really built something here that's ready to have a conversation that needs to be had, that is huge. And it's not about one individual radio appearance or one podcast or one video. Like it's this big, I like to call it a wave. you know, and you kind of know it when you're on it as well, you know.
Yeah, to me it was really weird because I was the only idiot in my country covering this, and there was a new editor-in-chief for the magazine I work for, and I got to interview James Fox about the phenomenon. So finally I got to cover basically the New York Times article too, Leslie Keane, etc. So when I dropped that interview, because I taped it on Zoom and I uploaded it on my podcast channel I already had. First time I covered that topic. And I just see my YouTube explode at once. There were all these people tweeting about James Fox on right now, blah, blah, blah. And I see my analytics jump. And I'm like, who the hell are these people? I don't know anyone like that around me, in my friend group, in my surroundings. So that's when I, really got involved with this community. And, it moved fast. I started to interview Corbell, Elizondo, etc. Read.
I'm fairly sure outside of big publications in the West, America, you're the only person that's managed to do that. So bravo. And it was a great interview as well.
Thank you.
How did you do that? And can I have his email, please?
We'll talk.
Cool.
No, seriously, we'll talk. But I cannot extend that here.
Sure. I understand.
No. So that's when I discovered you guys. You Dan, Vinny, Sean, my friends, Priscilla. There's this great bunch of people, all over the world who, basically were loners and, found each other right here. Now, I gotta admit, I wasn't a big UFO guy when I was growing up. I loved the usual films, but it was when that article dropped in 2017, I was mind blown. I was like, okay, why isn't the world going nuts right now? It wasn't.
There is a weird disconnect with that, isn't there? Because you look at what happened with COVID, and essentially a front cover that was interpreted by a lot of people as ETs are here didn't really cause that big a reaction. And I guess if you're the secret keepers, that's kind of what you want, right? Is indifference. Like to tell people we're not alone and they've been here for ages and there may be underwater bases and so on and so forth. You don't care? Cool, fine. The world carries on. We can deal with this now.
Yeah. And what was also very interesting to me, I don't know about you, of course you have your classic nutcase people who actually,
McWest.
Yeah, something like that. But I let's say the crazy bag lady next door who says she has an alien lover and is very vocal about that. Those people you didn't hear anymore because they don't like when there's actual proof, facts being shown. Now they don't get to dive into their little fantasy and create their little sect that follows them because it doesn't make them special anymore.
Absolutely. I mean, we still do see that behavior a little bit, with kind of corrugate. And I guess we're always going to see it because, you got to take the bad with the good, right? But you're right. It swung wildly in a different direction. It was indulging the blue avians and everything like that and all the lesser stuff. And that 2017 article just kind of legitimized it and kind of said, yeah, there's something there and we can talk about it and we can take the tinfoil hats off and we can stop mocking the people that had the tinfoil hats on, and it really has become, I think Michio Kaku said it, the onus is like on the government to prove that they're not extraterrestrial now. A lot of people who...
What the hell are they then? Yeah.
I mean, right. And when I say extraterrestrial, I don't mean in a sense of, they're definitely from another planet far away. I'm just saying something different, not us, non-human.
Yeah. Maybe it's something biological. Maybe it's something technological, but we need to find out.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need to find out.
Absolutely.
So Priscilla has an interesting question. Dan, do you feel as if everyone is strategically placed around the world to spread the info of UAP?
That's a really interesting question.
And by who?
Because everyone kind of... this is where I mean, you know, a lot of people feel like they're finding their place with this. You know, certainly for me, I'm someone that's never really been comfortable, you know, working for big corporations and things like that. But doing this stuff just lights my soul on fire, man. And I do it all the time if I could. And everyone kind of on UFO Twitter, like yourself, Andy, Vinny, Lou Jimenez, all of you are the same, right? Like we all just happen to be doing this professional job for free because we're obsessed and it's the only thing that we can do.
Actually, I do get paid for my journalistic work.
Oh yeah, that is true. You're legit.
But you know, for the majority, no, not at all. But it's all for the love, man, and a curiosity and instinctive feeling. It's pure instinct, and yeah, I'm a very how do you say that, receptive individual. You know, I have a great hunch when I should go in a certain direction. You know, yeah, it's weird to say that about yourself, but it's always got.
No, I understand it.
Yeah, it's always got to me.
That's kind of exactly what I mean when I say you feel like you're on the wave, right? It's like when meditators lose themselves, or a musician will kind of lose themselves for 3 hours and think they've been playing for 10 minutes. You know, it's that. It's in the zone. You know, I don't know how to describe it. It just is. I understand you.
It is that. And you know, I have great talks with my buddy Sean about that there are certain, let's say, things that happen in life that can maybe trigger or turn a switch, what makes a certain part of your consciousness open. And we have very deep thoughts about that. And how do you feel about that? Is there something, by the way, that happened in your life that maybe switched on whatever you are pursuing with us now?
So I suffer from sleep paralysis really badly. It happens every year, April, usually towards the end of April, but without fail, always that time of year.
Yeah.
But some of them feel different, and it's a strange thing to say because it's kind of something that I've realized while talking to some people, that there's a quality to one of them that just feels like I said earlier, you know, you can feel it. It doesn't feel like a bad dream. It felt like a place I was for a moment. And I kind of won't go into it more than that because, you know, it's a one source story and I don't like spending too much time on those kind of things. But
that's fine.
You know, it was that was a childhood thing for me. And I feel like that was probably the moment where, I'll stop there. But yeah,
I think, and I'm very sorry, Dan. I suffered from sleep paralysis myself when I was very stressed out for a while. I actually experienced it for a full year, every night.
Oh,
yeah, it sucked. Maybe I can let me describe the way I experienced it, and I think it's for pretty much the same for anyone, but maybe a little different. But it's like you wake up, can't breathe, feels like something incredibly heavy is on your back or chest, and you are paralyzed, and you feel there's a presence around you in the room, right? And in my case, if I had it, I wasn't able to breathe either. And then like that, you catch a breath of air, and I would just sit up and like that, you know, like
you've been running, right, in your sleep.
No, I've been
just like sweaty and out of breath, and
no, like I was suffocated, like all the air was squeezed out of me, and like someone was keeping me from breathing. It was very, it was horrible. But but and it, when I did better, it stopped. It's weird. It was
Did you see the presence in the room at all?
I saw shadows. Yeah, but when they
like
explain,
shadow figures, any color to them or anything?
yeah,
Or
and hear voices.
Okay.
Also, yeah, and but then they say, you're waking up and but you're also in REM sleep at the same time. So it's like dreams and waking up, like actually mixing at that point. But I don't get why you are paralyzed and why you are not able to. I wasn't able to breathe at all.
Well, the paralysis, the idea behind that is that as you're falling asleep and you start to dream, so that like say for example you run in the dream, if your body kind of didn't neuter your ability to move to kind of what was in your head, essentially you'd be doing that action in real life with your body whilst you were trying to sleep. So they think it's kind of you fall into that part of sleep where it's just enough for your brain to be dreaming, but also to kind of paralyze you, but also keep you awake a little bit. For me, the sleep paralysis I could always identify because it would feel like I was kind of going underwater as I fell asleep.
Yeah,
like it would kind of almost like my ears would fill with water. That was the sound, and then it would kind of kick in, and the more I tried to move, the more you couldn't you couldn't breathe and things like that. But I always remember a figure in an orange coat, and one day my mum said to me that she had the same thing with like the same description of a figure as well, and it really freaked me out. And then a few months back, and Andy and I were talking to Andrew Gallimore about kind of DMT experiences and stuff like that, and we were talking about some of the entities people see, and he said that some of them are similar to something that people see in sleep paralysis, which is a lady in an orange coat. And I was just like, oh god.
Shit. Oh my lord, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you find, like, how did you get past your sleep paralysis? How did you?
I don't know. It just went away. It went away. It did come back once or twice in all those years, but nothing seriously. But I do remember it was a very stressful time in my life, and I'm not sure if it was stress related or something else, but yeah, I was not in a very good place. Yeah, I think it's pretty much stress related.
Yeah, I think a lot of it can be put down to that. Whenever we talk about sleep paralysis, I always think of I think it was the last episode of Unidentified, where they had those two guys in a truck and they were driving and they experienced an abduction, and someone tried to write that off as sleep paralysis. And I was just like, as someone that has this on a regular basis, that is not sleep paralysis. Like, it doesn't just happen when in line with your buddy who has a complete different sleeping pattern and a complete different life to you, doesn't have the same stresses and things like that.
Yeah.
So while I find sleep paralysis a really intriguing conversation, because there's a lot of, myth making around it, and a lot of lore around it around the world, and some really intriguing ideas about people attracting, darker entities and things like that.
There's a lot of oral history, myth about demons, I've heard demons sitting on you, preying on your fears or on whatever's going on in your life. It's I think it's even in Catholicism.
Yeah.
But to me, it is I'm still not sure if I should disqualify it as stress-related sleep, or the experience to me was very real and very scary, because of the suffocation and being very aware of things in the room. And it wasn't like you see a part of a dream because you are, of course, dreaming. How come I, in my conscious me, sees in my room, you know, at that time,
It's strange, right?
Yeah, so it's still hard for me to comprehend.
There was always, when I slipped into it, again, because it was like a regular thing, I started reading about it, and I kind of started reading about things like lucid dreaming and, you know, the astral plane and things like that. And they were all very enticing terms. And I was like, well, you know, none of these potions that people keep giving me at the doctors are working to stop this. So I'll give this thing a go. And the kind of signal for me that I was in sleep paralysis would always be that the room would be exactly the same, but there would be one thing different, and I would have to find it. And it would kind of be a race to kind of, like I said, I would feel the kind of the water sound come into my ears and the pressure building on my chest, and I'd have to kind of figure out if I was in that sleep paralysis zone by finding the one thing in the room that was different, basically. And sometimes it would be like my partner who I fell asleep with in bed wasn't there suddenly, or the TV would be, you know, turned a stupid way and halfway through the wall or something, but there would always be something wrong. And as soon as I locked onto that, it went to some interesting places in terms of, you know, having a bit of fun in your dreams and controlling where they go.
Right. You be in charge. You took charge.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
It still happens, but it's almost like just your approach to it being different gets you a better experience out of it.
Yeah. Wow. Dan, is there anything in the near future we can expect from you?
There's a very cool thing in the near future you can expect from me, and I can't tell you what it is.
Yeah.
It's a thing, maybe even in the next hour or two, maybe in the next 24 hours. It's nothing, you know, I'm not pouring up pictures of aliens or UFOs or anything. But it's just a project that's very, very close to my heart, and it just set my world on fire. And I was involved with some incredible people, and the thing that resulted from it that will be shared soon, you'll see it, is just goddamn awesome, quite frankly. I look at it and I'm very, very proud.
All right. Oh, well, man, I'm very curious now. Can you maybe say who you were collabing with?
Well, there were a few people, but I'll tell you the artist that I was collaborating with. So this is my first kind of real big collaboration, I guess, and it was done with Olaf Rockner, whose art is absolutely stunning. And we just...
Oh,
I'm wondering if I can kind of tell you. Oh wait, I'm gonna check this before, just in case.
Vinny is on it, dude. He's a big Olaf fan too.
Oh, so it is.
It is out. Okay.
Amazon.co.uk.
Oh, dude. Okay, got the scoop. Hell yes.
Oh, that's great.
Sorry,
16 minutes ago.
So Amazon, yeah.
Yeah, Amazon UK.
All right, Amazon
and
UK.
If you
Amazon
search
UK.
just search on there for UFOs Before Roswell by Graham Rendell.
UFOs Before Roswell. Oh, Rendell is involved, huh?
It's his book.
Aha.
So
it might that of course that's the book I talked with him about.
Yeah, man. Is it coming up yet?
Is it the cover?
Yes.
Hold on. Yeah, that's the one. Come on. Bigger picture. Bigger picture. I want a big screen. Aha. Okay, yeah. So let me see if I can share that screen. Yeah, share screen.
I love the Vinny knew exactly what I was on about. To tell me it's out, it's okay, you can say it. Now I know how the Marvel actors feel, clearly.
Yeah, there we go. Can you see it?
Well, hey, there you go. So that's like half of the art it wraps around. and yeah, it was really strange. Graham spoke about writing this book, and when he spoke about it, he said about an encounter that it just struck a chord in me, you know. And Olaf and I were just talking at that point because we're just, you know, we're old souls. We were friends in another life. It's kind of, as soon as we started talking, we were just great friends. And it just made sense for me to go to Olaf and say, hey, do you want to collaborate on this thing? And he was like, yeah, sure, that sounds great. And then weeks went by. We didn't even think about it. We didn't talk about it. Like many creative things, you kind of start them and put them on a shelf. And, you know, if they come back around and they want to be finished, they want to be finished. So this one day came, and Olaf and I just kind of, we were lit up with ideas about it. Both of us just woke up and we were talking, we were throwing ideas back and forth. And then about half hour into that kind of creative frenzy, Graham formally asked if I fancied doing the art. And at that point I was like, oh, Graham, by the way, when you told us, you know, months ago, we actually started thinking about this, and this is kind of the idea that we have, and so on and so forth. And he was bowled over by it, and kind of said, yeah, go. And so Olaf and I drew up a first draft each of what we kind of thought it would look like. And then those two drafts had a baby, I guess, over the course of about a week. And it's just a blur. I do all my art on a 12-inch iPad Pro, and I say that because it's a powerful bit of kit, but this maxed it out. It was struggling.
Right.
Same with Olaf's. Like both of our machines were struggling, but it was incredible, and we both kind of. It felt like our brains just entangled creatively for a week. So for almost 23 hours a day, we were doing nothing but getting this image right, trying to kind of capture the UFO on the front there.
Yeah. Do you guys see it full screen now? Not really, huh?
Can I share my screen?
What do you want to do?
Can I share my screen? Is that something I can do?
I don't think so. I think do you have a sharing option there? I'm not sure actually.
Let me click a few things and see. It'd be cool to show it off.
But hey, dude, just mail it to me.
It's very big.
Like WeTransfer big?
Yeah, that might work actually. Let me try and click this one more time.
All right. I'm gonna do you have my email? I'll just send it through Twitter, yeah?
Can you see my screen there?
Yeah, I can.
Does that work? Oh wow.
Wow.
It's like the Doctor Strange dimensions. Okay, I'm just gonna bring up yeah, that's the cover there. So you should be able to see it.
Yeah. Oh man, that's
so all of these stars in the back here are accurate. So you could essentially figure out where and when this sighting was just from the constellations in the sky. We were very proud of the plane as well. We spent a lot of time kind of getting the right references and making sure we got all the kind of, if I zoom in a little bit here, you can see the correct markings on the plane.
Wow.
So they're all...
Now, what incident is this based on? Because I know this is a real incident.
It is, yeah. You know what? I'm not going to tell people because they should read the book.
Read about it.
It is in the book, and as soon as you figure it out, you'll know. But it was just a particularly cool incident. I loved how Olaf did these tracer rounds because they never had tracer rounds all through the barrels. It was only every like 10, 12 rounds, so that they could fire in the night and see.
Yeah.
So yeah, he did a really good job. And this UFO took us ages to kind of capture that kind of, there's like a ethereal quality to it that I really love. And that Halo, man, I owe Olaf many a beer. And yeah, so that was our very first collaboration and my very first collaborative signature there.
Awesome. And well, are you gonna put those out as posters or
yeah,
t-shirts?
So right now on my opposite wall, as big as the ones behind me, that image is on there as like a metallic kind of thing that shimmers as you walk past it. It's really cool. It has a lot of colors through it.
Awesome.
So yeah, now it's Graham's put it up. I guess I can go ahead and share that. So I'll do that after this. So congratulations, you had the premiere.
Yeah. I'm a lucky bastard. I gotta admit.
But a big congratulations to Graham, because honestly, it's an amazing book. He's going to ruffle a few feathers with some things in it, because really what he's done is gone into all the stories about the Foo Fighters, and he hasn't stopped when he got the story he was open to find about Nazi UFOs and things like that. He kept digging past that, and there are some uncomfortable truths in there for people. But that is exactly why I think this book should be on everybody's bookshelf, because for me, it is essentially the definitive Foo Fighters book.
And I really want to recommend to people to look at the interview I did with Graham Randall a couple of weeks ago, or not even a week ago. Oh, 2 weeks ago. We are talking about this book. Actually, he couldn't tell too much because the guy who was writing the foreword, now I saw it was Sean Cahill, he was waiting on.
That's right.
And he couldn't disclose who was writing the foreword, but foreword by Sean Cahill. That's really cool. USS Princeton experiencer. And
he's in the foreword, he, again, I won't spoil this, but he tells a story about Foo Fighters that's very close to his family. So it's a real harrowing read, and I was lucky enough to hear the story from him. And just, the dude is so genuine. I always ask myself, in any given situation, what would Sean do? And I find myself taking the kindness route,
Yeah. Well, I've talked to Sean on my podcast. He is the coolest guy ever. He's so courteous. He's so willing to share his story. He's very, real about it. There's no, it's just what he saw and what his colleagues saw. And I think his witness account is extremely important. So very cool. He wrote the foreword for Graham. Very cool. You and Olaf made the cover.
Very proud, man.
And congratulations. It looks amazeballs.
Oh, do you want to I'll share my screen again and show you guys the first drafts, just because I love these.
Vinny already downloaded it.
Okay, my screen's there, so I think you can give me the share.
Oh, yeah.
Let me. So these were the two that we just read the story, and we didn't check for any references or accuracy. We just kind of said, okay, quick sketch, what's in your head? And these were the two.
Oh, I like that one too, man.
And you can see both what we're going for, and I think you can definitely see how they both smush together to make that final book wraparound image as well. I really wanted, my granddad had these amazing kind of oil paintings on his wall of World War II aircraft. So I really wanted to kind of try and capture a modern version of that, if that makes sense.
It does.
And whenever I look at it, I think of my granddad, and I'm super proud. And there's a little Easter egg in there for Sean as well that's personal to him. And just awesome. Really cool to be a part of.
Dan, please pull up the picture again with the plane. I really like that.
Wait, this one?
I love that one. I love that.
This guy?
Yeah, that guy. Yeah,
it is great.
I like the clouds. Oh man, it's very realistic too. All right, I'm totally fanboying over here. So, all right.
There you go.
All right.
That's cool.
So guys, download Graham Randall's book. Maybe Dan, you are going to spread the cover for people to purchase, maybe, or download?
Yeah, absolutely. It's available. We've put it in a number of different formats. It's been my wallpaper for about, I want to say, like 2 months. And I've just wanted to show it off, and I couldn't. because obviously we wanted to wait for the book. But I'm really, really excited to get a paperback version of the book and see it wrap around. It's going to be stunning.
Can you send me maybe a link I can throw on Twitter for you when we promote this podcast?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
I don't have one to hand now. I've got to go on Redbubble and sort it all out. But yeah, of course I can get you that.
Yeah, sure. Also, well, thank you, man, for sharing your incredible story, your open, way of telling how you experience all of this, and hook me up with one of your T-shirts, dude. What the hell?
I've only just got around to buying a bunch of them myself. I just had the Tic Tac one for the longest time, and everyone else has had them, and I've just been like, I want them. I designed it, and I never had them. This feels wrong, Redbubble should send some samples, I think.
Wow, don't worry about it. Hey, thank you, man. Please come back anytime. I really enjoyed it.
It's been a pleasure. Lovely to finally, talk. I know it's not face to face, but I'm going to say face to face because we're in the 21st century and it makes sense in this kind of world. So yeah, lovely to finally meet you. I feel like we were friends that hadn't met yet, and it's nice to have that confirmed. So
definitely,
brother from another mother, as they say.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I would love to have you maybe back on a panel with our other friends, maybe Vinny, Sean. I think we can all hit it off.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds great.
All right, my brother. So I'm gonna say goodbye to my amazing viewers. Thank you for watching The Zignal. Dan, buy Graham's book again, and buy Dan's art, and look and subscribe on my podcast. By the way, I have one more thing before I forget, damn it. Vinny, Disclosure Team Vinny and me, Sean, Raj, Witness Citizen, we are going to change the Max and Vinny show into Owls of Disclosure because we are welcoming Sean.
You'll have owls and owls of content.
Yeah. Okay. We are welcoming Sean Rush to our team. We cannot do this without him. He's our brother, and he's a huge asset to covering this whole thing. So, to my brother Sean, welcome, my friend, and I'm excited. We're gonna do some cool stuff, and then
I want to see a documentary of you guys, and he's gonna be playing music as you go, and it'll be incredible. I want to see that happen. Make sure it does, please.
Oh, by the way, I have an announcement too. I forgot about it. I am making a documentary about all of the podcasts I have been doing since March up until now. So we're talking James Fox, Jeremy Corbell, Elizondo 1 and Elizondo 2, Sean Cahill, Harry Reid, the Black Vault, Nick Pope. So I'm gonna make it like this, that you see on a timeline exactly what the developments were through the interviews I was doing up until now, until the 180 day and a little bit after that. So,
and it'll finish with this interview, right? The big finish is that.
Yeah.
By Graham's book.
Yeah. So guys, that will be, I hope, tomorrow actually. So maybe I'll pull an all-nighter.
Amazing. Okay. I look forward to seeing that. You've done stellar work, man. Honestly, thank you for all you do. I know I'm the guest and you're being courteous and stuff, but this is your house, and thank you for having me.
No, man, mi casa es su casa. All right, Dan, thank you, everybody. Good night. Ciao, ciao.
Good night.